in the grand scheme of things, it'd probably be better for me to just ignore this and let it go. But today I've learned something incredibly important, and honestly, it's been quite some time since I just wanted to talk about something that really changed how I viewed everything in my industry. For those of you who don't know, outside of doing YouTube and Twitch streaming and focusing myself on my academic career, I do game journalism. I'm part of the games media, part of the games press. I've been doing this pretty consistently since 2014. I currently work for Niche Gamer, and my heart and soul has been poured into that website, and I hope to stay there forever as it continues to grow into this big and awesome website to talk about not just video games, but just all kinds of nerd culture. We're talking tabletop, anime, movies, TV, you know, name it. We talk about it, and that's always been my passion. I love these things so much, especially video games. Obviously, if you know anything about me, you know that I love video games. And ever since I was a little kid, my dad, I remember when I was in maybe first grade, maybe even kindergarten, my dad brought home some Game Pro magazines. And I don't remember a whole lot, but I remember two things that really stuck out with me. A Jet Set Radio Future advertisement, and an entire spread about Guilty Gear, and seeing, and particularly seeing the character Bakken, who's one of my favorite fighting game characters, in there. And I thought to myself, like, these are adults, these are grown-ups who are they are talking about video games. This is what they do, you know. And ever since then, that's been like my dream. And I was mocked relentlessly throughout my life for having that be what my end goal was, that I wanted to be part of the games media. I wanted to professionally cover gaming, because gaming to me is such a large part of my life. I've been playing video games since I was in preschool. I was playing Pajama Sam and Putt Putt Saves the Zoo and Freddy Fish and Duke Nukem 3D. One of these things is not like the other. One of these things just doesn't belong here. But I remember playing those when I was a really little kid on like our Windows 95 computer. I remember maybe it was Windows 98. I know we had a Windows 95, but maybe I didn't start playing games until we had Windows 98. I'm going off, right? I'm just kind of talking. But like, what made me want to talk about these games so much is not just the fact that I love them. It's just that I thought it was so cool that like I would be able to go into the industry and meet people that make the games that I care so deeply about. There is a handful of people who I want to shake the hands of and personally thank them for creating something that I poured dozens, if not hundreds of hours of my life into, and have dedicated so much of my time to. People like Cliff Bleszinski and Rod Ferguson for creating the Gears of War franchise. People like Todd Howard for taking the helm and creating Oblivion and Skyrim and Morrowind. Nagashi-san from Sega for creating the Yakuza games. Harada for creating Tekken. Like, these are just people that I can kind of think of off the top of my head. Joe Mad for creating the Darksiders and Battle Chasers games, of which I'm a massive fan. Kojima for creating Metal Gear Solid, and specifically Metal Gear Solid 3, a game that I go and I play every year, and by the time I get to the end of it, I cry every single time. The developers over at 3D Realms, the people who made Duke Nukem, like all these people, I'm just kind of gushing at all these developers who I care so deeply about. These people who crafted works, and people don't like to talk about video games as art, but I do think video games are art, and I think they should be treated like art, meaning we can criticize art, but we can't dictate how people create art. But these people, they've created artwork. They've created art that appeals to me. It makes me emotional in a way. It makes me happy that I get to go out and buy merchandise. Have a Gears of War. When I was younger, I had a Gears of War wallet. I still have the collector's edition of Gears 3 Marcus Phoenix statue on my dresser. It will never leave my possession. It matters to me just that much. Anyway, I got into it because I wanted to meet these people. I wanted to shake their hands. I wanted to pick their brain. I wanted to know what made them want to create the games that they made in the way that they made them. I wanted to know how they felt about the people who liked their games and disliked their games. I wanted to criticize them if I felt like they did something wrong. I wanted to congratulate them if I feel like they did something right. I wanted to be in that industry because I love that industry. I am not technically skilled enough to be in game development. I am an ideas guy. I can create the story, but no one wants those kinds of people. So I'm always going to be on the outside looking in. And the best that I could do is be the person who goes door to door, asking them, why did you create the game this way? How did you create this game? Who is your target audience? What kind of feedback are you looking for? Etc., etc. These important questions to help not only get their message out and to make things more clear for myself, but to also help be part of that bridge between the consumer and the creator. And there are some creators now in the age of social media that are able to just bypass that bridge and go directly to the consumer. But there are people who lie, who mislead, who might do something that I would think is unethical. And it is through not saying that it is my responsibility, but I'm saying that it is part of my job to help filter out the BS for the consumer. The consumer asks very simple questions. Does the game run well? What platforms is it available on? Is the game fun? Is it worth the money? Is there DLC? Are there loot boxes? Do I have to pay for online? These are the kinds of questions that people ask about. These are the kinds of questions that people find to be important. And I want to be the kind of person who will hold the developer, or more likely a publisher's, feet to the fire when I feel like they're being dishonest. And I want to be able to be the one that sits there and shakes their hand and congratulates them if I feel like their game is good enough. So what sparked this diatribe that I've been going on? Our interview with Nagashi-san over on Niche Gamer. I'm going to link down to both articles on this down below. And if you haven't read them, I highly recommend that you read both of these articles, because I was not part of either of these interviews. I was playing the Sega Mini at the time at E3. But my bosses did conduct this interview, and they did a good job on that interview. They did a very good job. They asked questions that our fans and gamers wanted to know the answers to. We were professional. We were polite. And yes, we complimented Nagashi-san. For those of you who don't know who Nagashi-san is, he leads the Ryuga Gotoku company, studio. The guys that make the Yakuza franchise, and who are now going to be releasing the game Judgment next month. We were there to interview him about Judgment. One of my bosses got a review copy early and has already played through the game and beaten it, and he absolutely loves it. So much so that I'm probably going to buy it. He's convinced me. But I set that aside. Nagashi-san is a man who is very reserved, and he's not always open to interviews. It's very difficult to interview him, but we were able to get an interview, and we were told after the interview was done that he really appreciated our interview. And it's because we showed him the respect that he has earned over the course of his career. We didn't denigrate him, we didn't insult him, we didn't belittle him, and we didn't demean him. We were polite to him, honest with him, and gave feedback and asked questions that people wanted to hear. So, what was the response from other game journalism websites? They have publicly tried, and that's an important word, tried to drag us. And at the end of the day, despite the fact that I'm not directly involved with what's going on in that world, when it comes to that interview, and I don't care about other websites whatsoever, because 9 times out of 10, their readership is not our readership, because we do not appeal to the same markets. All I saw today at the end of the day was a bunch of different people working for a bunch of different websites coming together to try to shut down, demean, insult, and tear down ours. An independent, middling, no, I don't want to say middling, that's insulting, because we're growing like crazy. But a middle tier gaming site that's on its way up. They tried to tear us down by working together to insult us and to demean us. That's what I saw today. It's a bunch of people who yell about and cry about, and I hate to use this to make it even political, but yell about things like social justice and all those other kinds of things, being the biggest gatekeepers and bullies that I have ever seen in this industry and in this media. people who get the respect and the name recognition of game developers came together today to try to tear us apart and tear us down because we had the audacity to be polite to a game developer, to a game producer. And to me, I find that to be so eye-opening. If you have gotten to the point where you think it is cringy, or if you think it is bad, if you think it is unethical, which they don't, they're disingenuous hacks. But if you ever get to that point where you have to try to go and tear down somebody because they had the audacity to be polite to a game producer and to tell him that we appreciate his games exactly how he makes them, you're in the wrong industry. I know that a lot of these people don't want to be talking about video games. They aspired for bigger and better things, and they settled into this industry because they're losers. But if you've ever gotten to the point where you're that bitter and jaded, you should do the rest of us, not just us in the games media, but gamers, developers, producers, publishers, PR people, what have you. Do us a favor and quit. Get another job. Go work somewhere else. Go work at some other pathetic money sink, like investment capital bullshit website that less and less people are reading every day because you're fading into obscurity and your rage clicks will only get you so far. Go and work for one of them. Go and work somewhere else. Because we, as a community, have done nothing to deserve the piss poor excuse for journalism that you have espoused, that you have delved out, to write a fucking article about how you hate E3 and you don't want to be there and use that as an excuse for your piss poor attempt to interview somebody whose work that you're clearly not interested in or passionate about is pathetic. It's as pathetic as the kind of person who blocks any of the people right now who've been clowning on him for the last 24 hours, of which he absolutely deserves for attempting to drag us. We at Niche Gamer are not perfect. We make mistakes, we screw up, everything in between. We're only human. But the one thing that we do that a lot of these people don't seem to want to do is that we try to be better. We always try to improve and we try to push ourselves and propel ourselves forward. We know what our readership wants. Good quality journalism covering topics that are incredibly relevant and important to us. We want to be able to enjoy video games as they are. To be able to enjoy a little bit of escapism from an ever increasingly stressful life. That's our goal. We don't care about politics. We don't care about some hashtag movement from 2014. We just want to do our jobs and do them well. And we will continue to do that. And nothing that these fucking dinosaurs in this industry will do will ever take that away from us or ever stop us. The only thing that shocks me about it is just how blatantly they detest everything that we are passionate about. And let me just say this right here, right now. Tyler, if I ever get to a point where I am so jaded and so bitter that I act even half as fucking awful as some of these people I saw today on Twitter, force me out of this industry. Get rid of me. Because you don't deserve that kind of piss poor quality content. I hope you guys have a good day, and I'll talk to you soon.